Hey guys, what's going on? Super excited to bring you this special video. We had a chance to interview Derek Yu, the creator of Spelunky, and it's a good one. So this is the highlights from the interview. If you have not listened to the podcast, you can check out on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, etc., etc. These are the best of the best moments with the one, the only, Derek.
I got into Twitch like fairly recently, even though we did a lot of work with streamers on Twitch for Spelunky 1, like to help us announce it and stuff. Like I didn't really get into watching Twitch actively and being like a member and, chatting and stuff until like a few years ago. And yeah, I've just been watching and I realized that a lot of game developers actually stream game development. And it seems fun. It seems like just a fun thing to do to stream some game development and like chat with people. My daughter, like this year, she really got into Animal Crossing and a lot of Nintendo games. We play some hardcore stuff too. Like we play through a lot of beat 'em ups together, and she loves it. And they're actually pretty straightforward. You just move around and press a button and just start wailing on somebody. you gotta tell them like, this is not what you do in real life, okay? If you find like a turkey on the street, do not pick it up and eat it for health. Speaking of beat 'em ups, yeah, Streets of Rage 4 was like one of her favorite games this year. Yeah, there was one of the bosses, like I died early and it was all up to her, and I was like, it's all up to you. You can do this. She's like, I don't think we're gonna win. And she like pulled it off, and they do that slow-mo at the end when you beat the boss. And she was like, oh my gosh, feel my heart. And I felt her heart was just racing. It was like the most exciting moment of her life.
When did you say, hey, I'm ready to do another sequel?
It was like right around when I was writing the book about Spelunky, because I was spending a lot of time thinking about Spelunky while I was writing it. I'd already had like ideas of maybe doing a sequel, but I think they really solidified while I was working on the book, because to write the book, I had to go back and just read all of our old emails about the game and stuff. I don't have a great memory about just the game development. Like I'm always just so impressed with John Romero, because he will just like recall the exact day that he thought of some idea, and he always mentions like every mission of Doom by its exact name. Like, and I just would not ever be able to do that. I have the Spelunky book like on my desk to reference sometimes. I feel like reference myself because I don't remember this stuff. I don't know. My head just gets filled with other things. But one thing I thought about was just, what does a sequel mean to me? And to me, it is just like a huge expansion of previous games. So I knew that we weren't going to change anything core about Spelunky 1. And part of the reason why I wanted to do Spelunky 2 was because since Spelunky 1 had come out, like there has been an explosion of roguelike games, right? But not a lot of them were really doing what Spelunky 1 did, which, I think that's cool. I think that speaks to just how big this genre is. Well, I love the idea very early on of Olmec returning just like in the middle of the game and then just being like a crazy boss fight. I like the idea of it starting off exactly as it did in Spelunky 1, so that people would be like, hey, what's going on? Did I reach the end of the game? And also, Derek, you lazy bum, like you're just like reusing Olmec from Spelunky 1 and then having it change on people. I really like that. The idea, I think, of just putting stuff from Spelunky 1 in Spelunky 2 in a new context and having that really change how you feel about it and how you interact with it is that was really cool to me. I think there's criticism of games from people who are not familiar with games that, hey, you're just like wasting your time. Like you got really good at this game. How does that apply to quote unquote real life? But just by getting good at anything, even if it's in a virtual world and these are virtual skills, I think it changes the way you look at life. I think it changes the way you think about things, and it helps you get good at other things. I saw how important it was for my daughter that she was able to play as a girl in like every single game. Like every single game she'd ask, like, can you play as her? Can you play as her? Can you play as her? Like the ways I want to make people feel bad are just like getting killed by a spider trap. I don't want to make them feel bad because they just cannot find a character that even like remotely looks like them. I will say I see a lot of parallels between parenting and game design. You know, I can't help it. Like I'm a game designer, and when I look at my daughter, in a way, she's like the biggest player for me to game design for, right? For her, I'm like in some ways designing like the game of life for her. Well, it's like with kids, you have to challenge them in the same way you have to challenge players, right? But you know, you want them to learn and eventually become independent. And I think that's kind of a big part of my just natural game philosophy also is I want players to be very independent. And to me, that means not always holding their hand. Yeah, we've been doing Inktober for quite a few years now. She's awesome at it. The reason why Inktober is so hard for adults is because you're like trying to make it look quote unquote good enough to put on Twitter or something. And everyone wants to have like a really cool, like nifty theme like across the entire month that they stick with. For my daughter, she just draws whatever she wants every day. And she also loves the fact that she always finishes before me. She's like, I'm done. You're slower than me, aren't you? And I'm like, yes, I am. But it's cool to see how laid back she is about that and how laid back kids are about it in general. And it's helped me be a little more laid back too, and a little bit less of a perfectionist with Inktober. And I think a lot of people, a lot of game developers, they feel like this is like my one shot and I gotta make this game perfect. And they end up putting a lot of work, I think, in the final years of the project that are giving them marginal returns in terms of like how successful the game is going to eventually be. When you're just starting out, you know how bad it feels to be ignored as an artist. You know, I think in the end that's kind of the worst thing, is just to put out a trailer and nobody comments, right? And so for me, if I see a lot of people comment and a lot of them are like, oh, the art style looks so flat, like I wish it looked like Spelunky 1, I'd much rather they say that than not care about the game. So we have different ideas about what Waddler actually does, you know, on the team. For me personally, you know, Waddler's a slime, so he just like moves through small crevices like in the level. That's why I made him a slime, so that it can explain like how he gets from place to place, but also that's how he carries the items too. When Spelunky 1 came out, I did not like the taste of eggplants. Now I do. Now I'm actually a big fan of eggplants, and you know, like I love like Baba Ganoush and stuff. I played the game a bunch co-op with my daughter right after it came out, and now I'm playing it as just a casual player. But my goal is to eventually get all the achievements. I want to get my first platinum trophy on PlayStation, because I've never gotten a platinum trophy, and I'm like, if I do get a platinum trophy, it should be in this game.
To your knowledge, are all the secrets found in the game?
I think all the mechanical secrets are. There's some like little, maybe lore based secrets, or like little visual secrets that haven't been fully uncovered as far as I know, but I don't keep complete track. Yeah, I was definitely following Nocdura, the Korean streamer, and Twickle, but I was kind of watching their friendly competition, I guess, to get to 799, and it was super exciting. It was also super scary because at that point there were still some crash bugs and stuff. Although we don't call them crashes, we call them succumbing to chaos.
Okay.
Internally.
When you're playing Spelunky 2, what is your go-to character?
It's Guy Spelunky. You know, when I play with my daughter, I'm Guy and she's Anna.
Okay. All right. What is your favorite boss in all of Spelunky?
I think I'm still happiest with Olmec. Just very simple, crushes you, but with the mechanics of Spelunky and the physics, it's just, I think it works really well. About a year before Spelunky 2's release, Eric and I just focused entirely on Spelunky 2. But before that, we were working on Spelunky 2 and UFO 50. And yeah, it's a collection of 50, I would say, alternate reality retro games. So the idea is that these games were made by a fictional company from like an alternate reality 80s, and they're like super ahead of their time, but the games still look retro, and they really run the gamut. So, you know, the smallest games are like little arcadey style, I don't know, Pac-Man-esque kind of games. Those are the smallest, but we do also have, you know, a JRPG in the collection too. I do think about that David Lynch quote a lot. He got asked, you know, what does this mean? And his response is just, the movie is the thing. Like everybody wants to ask me like what the movie's about, and it's like the movie is the thing. It's telling you something. Just watch the movie. Having to talk about the game, like I'm better at working on the game than I am at talking about it. Like when I saw you playing Olmec Chess, I'll be honest, I went to our Slack and I was like, I posted the video and I was like, all right, we got to change this.
Chat, I'm mad at chat. This was not supposed to come up. Hey, if you enjoyed the highlights from the interview, you can check out the entire interview in the link in the description below, or going to YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, and just type in the Dan Gheesling podcast. It's episode 107 with Mr. Derek Yu if you want to listen to it. It's about an hour and a half long. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Want to catch up on the Dan Gheesling Show because you can't catch it live on Twitch? Then go to youtube.com/Dan Gheesling Plays. There you'll find every single one of our live shows cut up in an easily digestible episode for your viewing pleasure. Episodes are up within a couple days of the show, so you're never too far behind if you want to catch up and watch live. That's youtube.com/Dan Gheesling Plays to watch anything you might have missed on Twitch.